Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast. Tough start to the series and the work week for the Cubs. They lose to the Padres 6-3. A 6-run, sixth inning for San Diego sinks the Cubs. Bullpen gives up all 6 runs. Cubs battle back, but just not enough offense on this team. A lot of opportunities in this game. And, Cody, I would... Hello to everybody in the live YouTube chat. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of complaining about the bullpen, and probably deserved. There's going to be complaining about the offense and roster construction. Listen, the best way to contribute, if you want to the show is to subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page, and then you can watch the live shows like this. If you're podcast form, make sure you check out a live show once in a while and get in on the fun. We have a good time, or we have a therapy session like tonight. And tonight, where do you want to start? You want to start with the bullpen, or do you want to start with the offense?
Let's just get the bullpen out of the way.
Let's get the bullpen out of the way.
So we can just get it fucking done with.
Let's get the bullpen out of the way. I thought going into this game, and I'm not necessarily second-guessing Craig Counsell. I'm sure that question will be in there. I thought it was going to be Steele on a pitch count, and then Ben Brown would finish it up, or at least some sort of a piggyback type start. It wasn't that, and he went to Lovelady and then Palencia.
Right.
And Lovelady wasn't hit hard necessarily, but it was enough contact that it was just nickel and diming. And then Palencia, some people are saying give him a shot as the closer. Tonight was not his night.
No.
He's been up, he's been down, and this was down.
Yeah, when you talk about Lovelady's inning, clean inning, Tatis started the inning off, and he hit at 78 miles per hour, had a 0.050 expected batting average. Cronenworth hit one, 84 the next at bat, had a 170 expected batting average. He hit it literally it would have been a routine ground ball to Dansby, but I think it was based off either defensive alignment or maybe Tatis was trying to steal. They capitalized on the hit and run multiple times in that inning, I feel like. Profar, same thing, except the infield was playing in after they did a double steal. So, Lovelady not being able to hold the runners on first and second. You can criticize them for that. But again, like Profar, the batted ball up the middle, that wasn't hit very hard either. It was hit 85.
Excuse me.
I will say this about bringing Lovelady in. I'll defend it a little bit. The Padres came into tonight as one of the worst teams in baseball against left-handed pitching, and maybe that's why Counsell went to let Lovelady come out there for another inning. Maybe Ben Brown was going to go out there eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe he wanted to use him in more higher leverage. I don't know. To me, Lovelady's the 2 runs that he gave up, 2 or 3 runs, whatever it was, he ended up giving up one to Solana that was 101 miles per hour. That was bad, but
it wasn't necessarily the whole game.
No.
If they could have limited it to less than 6 runs in the inning.
It's when Palencia came in, and the difference between Palencia tonight and what he's been doing in his 3 or 4 appearances since he came back from Iowa was he just did not have command. Like, he didn't know where that ball was going tonight. And I think Girardi said something on the broadcast about his mechanics or something like that. Because there was multiple times where he threw that ball up and in, and he did not try to throw it there.
Right.
And so, he's a young pitcher, and I still have high hopes for him. I said yesterday when everyone was talking about him getting a chance to be a closer, it's like he has the stuff. It's just more about he's got to get some seasoning in. He's got to work himself into that circle of trust. By the time he came in, though, it was 2-3-0, whatever. Obviously he made it worse, but it was like the first time that he came in on back-to-back days, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but I don't remember him coming in back other than maybe it was in the Mets series he came in on back-to-back days. And that the second time was in the extra innings games that they had. So maybe he has, but off the top of my head, I couldn't remember if he had or not. But I don't know, man. Like it sucks because Steele was doing good, and if he was on, like, he wasn't coming off the injury or whatever, he definitely would have stayed in the game longer.
Yeah, I mean, Cubs. This is 4 straight games that Cubs starters have been not allowed to run, and you just went 2-2.
Right.
I guess that's not great.
For me, and it probably doesn't mean anything because, you give up 6 runs in 1 inning. But, the feeling of the game's a lot different when you have runs on the board. Yeah. Maybe Counsell does something different if it's 2-0 instead of 0-0. I doubt it. So, what I'm getting at is in the first inning, you had a leadoff double from Nico Hoerner. Mike Tauchman hits a roller over to the second base side. That moves Hoerner to third. And then you have Ian Happ up with 1 out with a man on third. He strikes out. And then Morel grounds out, so you don't score a run in the first inning. I think 2 innings later, Morel, leadoff walk. I tweet that he's doing things that I dreamed about because it was an incredible plate appearance to work a walk against a guy like Yu Darvish. He walks, he steals second, and then he's stranded there because no one can get him in. And you had him in scoring position with less than 2 outs. It's, to me, yes, the bullpen is a massive problem in some aspects. I don't necessarily you can't give up 6 runs in 1 inning for sure, and it's largely all on Palencia. But when you don't score runs, you're not going to win anyway. And they had a chance. The Padres tried to give it back to them. You had the bases loading in the 8th inning with no outs. You do nothing.
First and second in the 7th.
Yeah. So I think tonight is just another example of just like the flaws of this team whenever you don't have your 2 best offensive players and when your bullpen has been inconsistent. Again, Palencia has been pretty good since he came back from Iowa. So, yeah, I'm annoyed that you give up all these runs, but that doesn't take away my optimism for him. He's like one of the only guys in that bullpen who can throw the way he throws. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next time. I already tweeted that, like, this one doesn't make me pissed off. I like the comeback attempt. They should have tied the game. Shit, you had the bases loaded with no outs in the 8th inning, and you don't make the comeback. The bullpen tonight, though, had pros and cons. Palencia was bad, but you know what was good? Colton Brewer went 2 scoreless innings to keep them in the game when they started making the comeback.
Yeah, because I kept saying, like, this is great, but if the bullpen gives up another run, forget it. Like, maybe they can get it. Once it was 6-3, I said maybe they can come back and still do it, but you can't afford to give up another one and make it 7.
I guess I'm just looking at this game as just, I'm going to forget about this game in less than a week.
Well, it highlights.
This is just
it highlights 2 things that are wrong with the team right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe they're fixable, maybe they're not. The bullpen one, you're going to have Steele's back, so now Ben Brown, who wasn't used tonight, is in the bullpen. Pretty soon you'll get Hendricks back, or you'll get Wicks back, and you'll have someone else move to the bullpen. And maybe Cade Horton at some point gets called up, and maybe he's in the bullpen. Or, we don't know how they're going to use him yet when he gets here. But the bullpen, maybe they're going to trade for somebody. Before the game, Jed Hoyer was asked about the bullpen. He said, I think it was Jesse Rogers said, so you're exploring options. Are those external options? Are those within the organization options? Are those options within the current team? And he said all of the above. He's going to have to look everywhere. Are they trade options? Yeah, he's going to have to look at all that stuff. But you also don't want to overpay right now. I understand that these games matter just as much as the games do in August and September, but you also don't want to overpay for it right now because potentially if you can get your rotation back, some of the guys in the rotation could become valuable pieces of the bullpen. I don't know if that's going to answer the closer role or not, but the offense was frustrating because they struck this reminded me of a couple years ago, a Cubs team, 11 strikeouts.
Yeah.
11 strikeouts, like you said, first inning opportunities. And again, early in the game, opportunities. Can't get the guy over from second base. 7th inning, first and second. Hap worked the walk, right? In the 7th inning. Hap gets the walk, and you're thinking, oh, this pitcher's on the ropes. And Morel, God love him, comes up, and I said, please don't swing at the first pitch. Now, I know what he was thinking. He was thinking, this guy just walked him. He didn't want to walk anybody there, and now he's going to groove one down the middle to try and get ahead of me in this at-bat. But when they went out to the mound before that at-bat with Morel, I guarantee the first thing they said is, he thinks you're going to groove him a fastball. Throw him something he's going to beat into the ground or hit in the air. And sure enough, they got out of the inning. Then to get bases loaded and nobody out, and I said, boy, they got to get at least 2 here, right?
Yeah.
Really, they needed 3, but at least you have minimum get 2. To get none. PCA was overmatched. Gomes strikes out, and then...
Well, I thought PCA had the best chance because
on his last swing, he looked terrible on the last swing. You're right.
Well, as soon as Estrada got PCA, they brought in Suarez, who reminds me of Palencia reminds me a lot of Suarez. He was dotting 100, 101 with command on top of a few breaking pitches. Like, the guy did the same thing to the Cubs in San Diego too. So, he's probably their best reliever. It's one of those things in those scenarios that makes you want to pull your hair out, undoubtedly, for sure. But all these things that you're bringing up, Luke, we've said for the last 2 weeks since Seiya and Belly been out. Yep. If this team's going to win games, you got to do the little things. And they didn't do the little things. The team, when the bullpen came in the 5th inning, the Cubs should have been up 2-0. They should have been up 2-0. And maybe Counsell doesn't go to Lovelady. Maybe he doesn't go to Palencia. Maybe he goes to Ben Brown. I don't know. But to me, I'm always going to think this way. You got to score runs to win ball games. So if you want to complain about the bullpen, complain about the inconsistency of it, be my guest.
You're not arguing against it. That's true too. Both things tonight is one of those. Both things are true. Now, you can question who was used in the bullpen and when they were used. Yeah. You can blame guys for not coming through when you have massive opportunities throughout the game and striking out 11 times. Can you blame the manager for batting Hap third? Because that's the one that I've seen on Twitter and we've joked about sometimes. We joked a lot about last year. I saw the Godfather Michael Collada said that Counsell has a case of Rossitis.
Oh, man. Hasn't been 2 months. Hasn't been 2 months and Godfather's flipping on Counsell.
I know we said, I think it was a week ago maybe, or 10 days ago, we said there weren't many options there.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't another option to bat third. Hap was doing well. But currently, tonight, there were a couple opportunities where I thought, man, I wish it was somebody else at the plate right now. He's just not.
Well, the thing
he's
is,
just not locked in. But to be fair,
that's not true. Coming into tonight, he had a good weekend against Milwaukee.
That's true.
But that said, that doesn't mean that I'm advocating for him to hit third. So I'm just saying, though, like, he had a good weekend.
I did say when Madrigal came up, can we have somebody else here?
Yeah.
Right? I did, and then sure enough,
Madrigal.
He came through with the base hit. But like, get all those guys on. I thought, man, I really could use somebody with some pop here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think
this is a game that they're going to say at the end of the season, yeah, that game against the Padres.
No. And that's why am I frustrated? Yes, because it's insanity, it feels like at times, because this offense is inconsistent. Sometimes they do all the little things like they did yesterday to win games. Today they didn't, in terms of the offense. And then your bullpen, got the BABIP gods hurt you early in that inning, and then just everything kind of fell apart there. Some guys just got to execute, in my opinion. Palencia didn't execute, and that's why he was the large reason why it was a 6-run inning instead of just like maybe a 2 or a 3 run inning. If it's a 2 or a 3 run inning, you got a good chance to still come back. on your home field where you've played well all season. But, to me, I'm going to continue to look at the offense. That's what I'm going to continue to look at. And when Seiya and Bellinger come back, I'm sure Happ will not be in the 3-hole anymore. Hopefully Bellinger's back tomorrow.
That's the plan.
If
we'll talk about it later,
if he's not back tomorrow, and they run it with the same type of lineup, I mean, Morel is the hottest hitter in the lineup right now, and with Council's philosophy, you'd think you'd move him up to at least third in the lineup. I mean, I don't know, man. It is what it is. It's like nitpicking at this point. Like, I feel like I'm just doing the same shit I did last year with last year's team. The difference between last year's team and this year's team is this team's significantly better. You don't have like massive holes at certain positions. This team is better than last year's team, and maybe that's why I'm not necessarily emphatically pissed off about this game. It helps that Milwaukee lost too, and it helps that the Cardinals lost for my own happiness. But like,
we said
there's not much to say from this game other than that you didn't score enough runs, and Steele couldn't go deep because he's coming off the injury, and Palencia can't walk the world and almost hit guys because he didn't know where the ball's going, man. Like, that's basically how this game summed up to me. You got Shota Imanaga tomorrow. See what happens.
I mean, Spin Zone, we did the pregame show for this game, and we were both saying, I still think they win the division, everything they've shown me with all these injuries, and at that time being 21-14, it was like they are headed the right direction. You have these guys coming back from injury. That's good to see. Now, I have seen, and of course, Gary Ross mentioned Slaughter would have made contact there. To be totally honest about Jake Slaughter, and we joke about Jake Slaughter because Gary likes to, hype us on Twitter about he's having a good season at Iowa. That said, I don't know that the Cubs are going to make that move yet. Now, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. However,
you think they would have made the move by now?
Well, guys have done well at Iowa, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do well in the big leagues. Now, sooner or later, maybe you got to give the guy a chance, but then you got to figure out some roster things. So I don't know if that point's coming. I think that move coming is less and less likely with Bellinger returning the lineup and Seiya returning to the lineup and other roster moves coming. Let me take a quick break and tell you about Lucy Nicotine, though. Made for your nicotine routine and delivered straight to your door. 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. Choose your form, pouches, breakers, or gum. Choose your strength, 2 milligrams all the way up to 12 milligrams. And choose your flavor, mint, apple ice, espresso, mango, and more. And you can save yourself from that weekly gas station stop. Sign up for a monthly subscription and save 15% off. No commitment. You can cancel anytime. Now, what are Lucy Breakers? Those are nicotine pouches, but with a tiny capsule inside. That capsule contains liquid flavor that saturates the pouch before it's even in use. Break it in your teeth, get it situated, and boom, instant nicotine release when you need it. So one of my friends, I talked to one of my buddies. I'm like, when do you use your Lucy Nicotine? He said, listen, man, I use it midday slump. I use it at the golf course. I like it post-coffee. So let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/CHGO Cubs and use the promo code CHGO Cubs to get 20% off your first order. Lucy offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co and use the code CHGO Cubs to get 20% off and always free shipping. Here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
You know what else is addictive? Prize Picks, Luke.
For good reason.
For good reason. Whenever you get everything right. If you had Mike Togman to walk and Christopher Morel over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs in your Prize Picks entry tonight, you probably did well. You could have been like me. All right. Prize Picks is your largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, Including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season is officially underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineups all season long, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks lineup today. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on Prize Picks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 Demon Squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of baseball's early season. It's the beautiful thing about Prize Picks. You can win big on one entry.
Boom.
Boom. So, go to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for your first deposit matchup to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Can I get a temperature on the YouTube chat? How are we doing? Is everyone...
Temp on the YouTube chat. A lot of people angry tonight. A lot of angry.
I just don't
people
get it.
mad at Hap. People mad at Council. People mad at Jed.
Okay, I'm not going to tell
People mad
y'all.
at me. People mad at you. People mad at them.
People are always mad at us.
People mad at the
I will say
Godfather.
this. I will say this. And I'm not telling y'all how to fan. I'm never going to tell y'all how to fan. And you guys aren't going to tell me how to fan. But, I mean, they just won two in a row. They won the series against Milwaukee. Milwaukee did lose tonight. Your lineup isn't at full strength right now. I mean, I think you just have to accept reality. You have to accept reality with this offense right now, man. Like, it's going to be inconsistent. I don't know what else to tell you. I guess I already have, and so when they win games and you see them do the things that they need to do to win games, it's great. And when they have games like tonight, they make it incredibly frustrating. But I mean, what do you expect?
Well, let's talk positive then. Let's talk positive for a second. Let's bring us out of the dumps after a 6-3 loss to the Padres. Christopher Morel provided the power for tonight's game, presented by the Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. Morel has now homered in 4 of the last 5 games, 5 of the last 8. And Joey, do you have the soundbite from our friend Ryan and teammate Ryan Herrera? Prior to the game, Jed Hoyer and Craig Counsell both talked. One of the questions for Jed Hoyer was about Christopher Morel, and this is for courtesy the one and only Ryan Herrera.
To me, I just kind of stare at the walk to strikeout ratio. To me, when he brings those things together, he's so dangerous. Obviously, the bat speed, the exit velocities are real. He has real power. I think that when he, as a young player, when he's able to lower those chase rates and force the pitcher into the strike zone and being willing to take his walks, I think he puts himself at a different level. So I feel like he went through a stretch this year where, he was, struggling and maybe banged up a little bit at times, but it feels like, obviously he's coming out of that stretch. I think his expected stats still haven't, his actual stats haven't caught up to his expected stats. But yeah, if he has days like yesterday where, he's, that patient at the plate and forcing pitchers in the strike zone, I think he's, like I said, he really moves up a whole other level in terms of what he can be as a run producer. And, I give him credit. To me, the biggest focus has been on his defense and, just being able to.
All right, so that was Jed Hoyer. I'm not sure how well you could hear it or not hear it, but basically talking about, the progress he's made. We were talking about the who you got over the weekend and whether or not he won who you got on a night when he had a hit and 3 walks. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about progress. Think back to last year. Would you ever have considered a game where Christopher Morel had 3 walks? I highly doubt it. And he was good again tonight. When he listen, he's the one, other than Wisdom, he's the one guy in the team. When he swings the bat, there's the power to change the game.
Yeah.
And even Girardi said the buggy whip, like you can see the raw power there. And I know Wisdom's is different, but Morel shows you that he has the potential to be a star. He has that potential. Mm-hmm. And if he can cut down on chasing that slider like he has shown, the chances of him becoming that star are only going to increase.
Yeah. And I kind of touched on that walk that he had, I believe, in his second plate appearance earlier in the first segment. To me, I mean, Yu Darvish, whether it was the offense's fault for not being good tonight or Yu Darvish just being Yu Darvish that we've seen over the course of his career, I felt like the at-bat that he had to work that walk against Darvish was really impressive, just because Darvish has so many – not only does he have so many pitches to begin with, but just a lot of pitches that, we've seen Morel struggle against throughout, his 2.5-year career. And it just feels like anything outside of the zone, he's laying off it more often than not, especially later in counts. I feel like sometimes he can get a little chase happy early in the count because he's trying to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. But when he gets to 2 strikes, his approach has shown that it changes, or that it's changed significantly compared to even last year. So, the guy walked at a decent clip last year, but now he's walking around 10% of his play appearances, which is incredibly impressive. Incredibly impressive for someone who we've seen have a K rate over 30% of his at-bats, and in the past, and you feel like his at-bats are just non-competitive and you can predict what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. You can't say that anymore about him. So the walk was impressive, obviously, hitting the 2-run homer against I think Matsui, in the bottom of the inning after the 6-run inning, to not give them the shutdown inning. It was a shot in the arm the Cubs needed. Unfortunately, the comeback didn't happen, right? But I just felt like that's something that your best players do. They try and they put the team on their back, and that's what he did today in that moment. And sucks that he didn't come through later in the game, but you're not going to win games with just one guy, So I won't be too hard on him for that. But I mean, just over the overall stretch since the Mets series has been really good. And even before the Mets series, he was having good at-bats. He just wasn't getting the results. So starting to see results. He's continuing to have good at-bats, walks. He's not striking out. He's still, K rate around, 21%. That's significantly lower than last year.
And I saw Tyler in the chat saying he's a roller coaster. We know that. Like he's a hot cold player. In that way he reminds me of Soriano. Mm-hmm. However, and by the way, if he becomes Soriano, I'd be good with that. Now, maybe he isn't your 4 hitter. Maybe he's your 6 hitter down the line, or maybe he's your 5, wherever you want to put him in the lineup. That type of power obviously plays in a major league lineup.
Yeah.
But there were 2 big questions about this player all offseason. Number 1 was, could he play third base? We haven't answered the question, but we have seen improvement, which is what, when the early errors happened, Counsell said, I don't want to focus on one game. I don't want to focus on 1 week. I want to look at overall improvement. So far, month of baseball, there's been improvement. I can see it with my eyes. I can see improvement in him. I'm not saying he's a Gold Glove third baseman. I'm not even saying he's a good third baseman. But I've seen improvement at third base. That's progress. The second question was, can he lay off the stuff out of the zone, specifically the slider down and away? I've seen improvement.
Yeah.
It's just 1 month. It doesn't mean that it's going to continue. But so far, early in the season, he's done pretty well.
I would say it's at a big enough sample size now that you can feel confident that it's going to continue to happen.
But not that it won't regress and go back the other direction at times.
I guess.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he's never going to chase sliders. Like, he will.
Yeah.
And he's not gonna. I'm not gonna say he's gonna go 2 months without an error. He's not.
Right.
you have to live with those. But he's a young player with plenty of potential, and so I think the experiment of him at third base, he's in the lineup regardless. The experiment of him at third base is worth the squeeze right now because it helps the Cubs greatly if they can do that.
And what's nice, too, is that, he actually DH'd tonight, and that some guys are affected by it, right?
Yeah.
Where, like,
some
if
guys need to be involved in the game.
In the game, right? And for him, it doesn't seem to matter. So
agreed.
That's good, as much as I'd rather see him in the field than Nick Madrigal, but,
But if Shaw comes up, maybe he is a DH, or maybe Owen Casey's a DH, or,
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibilities moving forward in this. We mentioned before the show, in the pregame show, about maybe Bellinger's a DH for a little bit just to get even closer to being healthy. Or maybe he's put at first base, and that way Bush becomes the DH. So there's some flexibility on the horizon for this team, and hopefully it leads to even more wins in the second full month of the season.
Yeah.
We'll see. The biggest positive tonight for me wasn't necessarily just Morel. It was Steele. I mean, they've done this going into the game 21-14 without their ace. Lost him first game of the season. I thought I had pit in my stomach. I just felt that pit right there in your gut. I was like, he blew.
Felt like the season was over.
I thought he blew his knee out at first.
Yeah.
And so tonight, when I saw him running for a ball that was near first base, and I was like, no, just stop. Don't even go for it.
Oh, yeah, that ball. Yeah, I know what ball you're talking about.
Don't even go for it. But he was good. I know it wasn't a full 6, but 5 2/3, no runs. I don't know what else you could have asked for out of him.
It's 4 2/3.
4 2/3. I'm sorry.
And again, it was largely because he was on a pitch count. It had nothing.
Oh yeah, no, he physically could have done it.
I want people to know this. Like if you're not he almost
sure, went 5 full innings.
Like if you're going to criticize Counsell for that, which is dumb to do. Like they did it because he hadn't pitched in a month and a half. He threw 63 pitches in Iowa. Like they got to get.
Not only had he not pitched in a month and a half, it was his second start of the whole season. He's still ramping up from an incredibly abnormal start to the season.
Right. So I expect that pitch count to be able to rise in the next start, right? So yeah, it's a good sign just to see him healthy out there, and it looks like what he's trying to do, is the good news about his entire injury is the fact that it wasn't his arm, So
right,
he's just got to get, like Joey said, got to get ramped up. So I expect him, next time around to maybe go a little bit deeper, hopefully. And I thought. The first couple innings he threw a lot of pitches, but he got, he was able to get out of it, and he really
had a
didn't.
6-pitch inning.
Yeah, then it felt like the next 2 innings after that he had, he got some pretty quick outs. So things just always seem to work out with him when it comes to those types of things. And I've talked about him like last year. I talked a lot about him being kind of John Lester-esque. Whenever he didn't have his best stuff, he still managed to always give you 6 innings. And that's what Steele did a lot last year when he didn't have his best.
And he will get to that. This was basically his first start in a month.
Right. So, yeah, there's the biggest positive for sure tonight was Justin Steele. Just being healthy, coming out of the game healthy, leg looks okay. Being able to put Brown into the bullpen will be huge for this team moving forward.
You can't ask more out of your starting rotation than what you're getting right now. That's not going to continue.
Which was something...
I'm not saying it's not going to be successful, but there's no way it can continue at this level. That's 4 straight games without an earned run.
Right. Which is... It's nice to see because the first, 2.5 weeks, everyone was complaining about the rotation and worried about the rotation because no one was going deep enough.
This is why we should have signed. This is why we should have signed. This is why we should have signed.
I mean, even I was sitting here, I was like, man... Would have been nice to sign Jordan Montgomery, but now, and I still feel like perhaps because of the Steele injury, perhaps you still should have signed Jordan Montgomery. However, Hayden Wisniewski has stepped up, and Ben Brown stepped up at certain points of the last month and a half, and Tyone has been everything you could have hoped for, right? In a bounce back year or two, Imanaga's been everything you could have hoped for. It's been honestly arguably making a case to be the ace of the staff instead of Steele. Like, there's a lot of good going on in the rotation right now. And then once Wicks and Hendricks get back, you're able to put some of those other guys in that are in the rotation right now into the bullpen to help bolster it a little bit. Could be even better. Cade Horton down the line, depending on how they want to use him. He was on an innings limit. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be using the bullpen. I don't know. But there's a lot of I personally have a lot of optimism about the pitching for this team. I know no one has had it all season, but I still feel that there's plenty to be optimistic about with the pitching staff overall. So,
Mr. Cody Del Mendo and live YouTube chat, and Joey, just a quick answer. Just give me one name. When the season's over, which pitcher will have had the best, starting pitcher will have had the best season for the Chicago Cubs this year? Having seen different guys have success at this point, will it be Imanaga, who's starting tomorrow? Will it be Steele, who's starting tonight? Will it be Javier Assad, who's right there near the top? Or will it be Jamison Tyone? Of those four guys, which guy do you think will end up having the best season? I see Eagle Wax says Imanaga. A lot of people with show to love.
You said earlier on the couch, like you're intrigued to see Imanaga tomorrow just because it'll be the second time he's faced the team for the first time.
I will.
And so I'm also intrigued.
And that's not negative thinking. That's just the reality of a young guy comes up and he's from another country, and they have a scouting report on him, but they haven't seen it with their own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Now that team has seen it with their own eyes, they can go back and look at it with the tape, and we'll see. Not that he shouldn't have success against them tomorrow, but it will be even more impressive if he can do it again.
Early on, but I'm very intrigued by what they've gotten out of Tyone.
Me too.
Yeah.
Finally,
Me
and
too.
he's a guy that's had, like, to your point,
Tyone.
he's a guy that's had success in the majors. So he can do this. He's done this before, and he wouldn't be the first guy that we've seen to come into Wrigley. There's expectations. Pitching in front of the crowd it's tough, and sort of take that first year under your belt and build on it from there. He's been great, and I'm expecting a lot more from him.
Not that you won't consider Justin Steele still the ace of the staff at the end of the season. I believe you will, but we still wonder maybe Cade Horton's here June 1st. We don't know.
Barb thinks that we reported that.
No, we haven't reported it. We've just thrown it out there. Craig says Tyone finally pitching as expected. I just think it's an interesting question. If you had to throw money down right now, who's going to have the best season? I don't think at the beginning of the year anybody would have said Imanaga before the season. I don't think anybody would have said Imanaga. I don't think anybody would have said Assad, and I'm not sure anybody would have said Tyone.
No. I'll still stick with Steele because I seen more of him. Tyone pitched really well with the Yankees before coming here.
I could confidently answer any of the four.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel good about the rest of the season.
Yeah. I think as far as stuff and dominance, I guess, I think Imanaga could be that guy. He's the one who's getting the most strikeouts of anyone on the staff. But, I keep waiting for the league, the adjustment period for him. And I hope it's not tomorrow. They need another good start out of him tomorrow and, to bounce back from this loss. But 0.78 ERA, do we really think it's going to be below 1 all season?
No.
So I'm expecting
just above 1.
I'm expecting some sort of regression in a negative way at some point. Hopefully it just doesn't come at the worst possible time. So I'll still roll with Steele because I know what we've seen from him for a full season with the Cubs. Yeah.
You know what you can count on all the time, Cody?
Blue Moon.
Blue Moon, baby. Some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together, and no beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark. Blue Moon was created at Coors Field in Denver. It's the natural choice all season long. Boy, this past weekend's weather, including today, just screaming, give me a Blue Moon. We were in the bleachers on Friday. The sun was out. I got a little burned, got a little color on the arms. Nothing beats watching baseball or lounging by a pool with an ice-cold Blue Moon. Brewed by baseball to give you a dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the season. A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO to see your delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Friday 120 Club. Next one's going to be May 17th.
Vibes.
The anniversary of Christopher Morel's first career homer.
Your birthday.
And the 34th or 33rd anniversary of my birthday, yes. Is that the best way to say it? Is that the
probably
correct way to
not,
say
but
it?
it's okay. By the time you're 35, you'll get it.
Yeah. Next Friday, 120 Club is actually my birthday. You should come out.
Happy birthday.
You got to get your ticket on Game Time. I was just looking at Game Time while Luke was reading the Blue Moon ad. You can get a ticket to that Friday home game for $7 whole.
Right now.
Right now.
I can hear the entire left field bleachers in my head singing happy birthday to Cody. Already, you know Braggs is going to have them all warmed up.
Anyway, you could come and do that if you get a ticket off Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. All right. Like I said, you can get a ticket for $7 right now on Game Time. It's the only ticketing app that gives you a complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for all the sports, football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. Game Time guarantee means you always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, folks, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee.
We are hoping that Ryan Herrera will be able to join us from beautiful historic Wrigley Field before the end of this podcast. He got interviews with Jed Hoyer and Craig Counsell before the game. He'll be talking to players after the game as well as Counsell.
Real quick, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about Cody's birthday.
Uh-huh.
Becky from the chat.
I saw that.
Birthday on Friday. Happy early birthday, Becky.
Happy early birthday.
From all of us, one of our most loyal listeners, always in the chat. So
Die
hope
hard.
you have a great birthday
5-star diehard.
and great day. Continue now.
Becky is a nice person.
Yeah, she's always here.
She always says that about us in the tweet. We're nice people.
I'll be happy to celebrate my 33rd at Wrigley Field.
33. Yeah. It's a good number in Chicago sports. All right, so one of the updates from Ryan and other reporters this prior to the game was Hendricks going to pitch for Iowa tomorrow. Uh-huh. So that's closer than, I maybe expected.
For different reasons than other guys.
Seiya to go on a rehab assignment this week, and Bellinger back, no rehab assignment, sometime this week. Could come as early as tomorrow or Wednesday. Sounds like Wednesday would be later. So it could be tomorrow. Of those three, which one is the most crucial to have that player come back and be their best self?
I would say Seiya, because this team can get by without Bellinger, but we know Bellinger will be back before Seiya, because Seiya's going to go on a rehab, go play some rehab games, and Bellinger, he could be in the lineup tomorrow. But for this exercise, I think Seiya, he was just so perfect in that 2-hole with Happ ahead of him and Bellinger behind him. Obviously, the team success itself is better with everyone in the lineup. I just think Seiya was off to such a great start, and he was taking that next step. We've been talking about Morel taking that next step this year and improving. Seiya Suzuki was doing the exact same thing. So it sucks that that he hurt himself running to second or running to first base or whatever. But I don't know. I think Seiya's that guy that easily we could have been sitting here at the end of the year saying that he's the best player in terms of offense. I think overall player, Bellinger's the better player because he's a better defensive player, and he gives good at bats and
more versatile. He can play more
positions, versatile and all these things. There's so many reasons why Bellinger is, as an overall player, is better than Suzuki. But when you're talking about pure offense alone, I think Seiya is the most important piece. But obviously they need them both back in a big way. This offense just isn't the same without both of them, let alone missing one of them.
Well, let's find out what Mr. Ryan Herrera thinks from beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. I see he's wearing the double CHGO gear, both the lid and the hoodie, which you can get both at ALLCITY.com, along with many great items of dope merchandise, some would say.
People are saying.
Sick drip, ALLCHGO.com.
I had a Hawaiian on, the first Hawaiian of the season today, but it got cold, so put the hoodie on.
A little chilly there. What do you think about that question I just asked, Ryan? What do you think? I just asked Cody. You have what looks like Bellinger coming back possibly as early as tomorrow. You have Seiya going out on a rehab assignment, and you have Hendricks pitching for Iowa. Which of those three is it most important for one of those players to come back and be their best version of themselves? Peak player, any of the three, which one is peak player, current player, not Kyle Hendricks 2016. Best Kyle Hendricks can be this year.
I think if you're looking at any of those three, I'd probably Seiya would be my choice in that. Kyle, they obviously, everyone wants him to return and be good, Kyle Hendricks. But you have, at the moment, Imanaga, Jameson Tyone, and Javier Assad pitching lights out. And obviously, the Cubs just get their ace back in Steele, who had a good day today. So it's not like they need Kyle Hendricks to return to the rotation and, save anything, right? They want him to be good, obviously, because having more good or pitchers pitching well is better than not. But I think looking at what Seiya could be for this lineup in the first couple of weeks, the last 2 months of last season, and just that potential that he has, I think him looking like that, I think that's between him and Bellinger. I think he could have a bigger impact on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Bellinger plays center field, Gold Glove caliber defense out there, but I think Seiya being what he could be offensively when we've seen him at his best, I think that adds a whole dynamic to the lineup that not many bats could at this moment.
A lot of people talking about the bullpen, obviously, after the game, 3 runs and then 3 more for a 6-run inning. It's been a problem throughout the season. We've talked about ways that it could improve, whether that's starters now being eventually moved back into the bullpen and helping out that way, or guys coming up, whatever that might be, or possibly trade. What did Jed Hoyer say about that, and also just about, pursuing that type of stuff in the next couple weeks, I guess?
Yeah, so we talked to Jed Hoyer before the game today, and there was a few points made about the bullpen and kind of handling things. One part of it was like he did mention the Marlins trade, obviously trading Luis Arias to the Padres, but that he doesn't look at it as like as like they're open for business. That his guess was that it was probably something that was talked about previously, maybe even during the offseason, and it got worked out now. So I mean, he definitely didn't rule out they're monitoring the bullpen for sure, and he talked about something that we actually talked about yesterday on the show of the Cubs getting healthy in the rotation, adding to what is Cody rolling his eyes over there for?
He's reading a Barb comment about how they gutted the system for Bush.
They gutted the number 2 farm system in all
It's
of
okay,
baseball.
Godmother. We love you.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
Sorry, no, I thought it was rolling his eyes on me. I'm like, Cody, put those eyes, get those eyes right. Anyway.
As far as you know, that's never happened, Ryan.
No, so Jed, we talked about getting healthy in the rotation, and that allows some of those guys to move to the bullpen. Ben Brown, Craig Counsell said today that Ben Brown's likely to be used at some point in the series out of the bullpen, so that's an impact arm that looks like that could be added and helping out there. And as far as trading and that kind of stuff and external additions, he absolutely didn't rule it out. I think that's something that they're looking at. It's just that it is May and trades for impact players don't happen, or they're just rare that they happen this early in the season. So a lot of it is for now, fixing the bullpen right now is probably not external improvements. It's guys in the system continuing to develop. It's getting Adbert Alzolay right. It's getting healthy in the rotation so some of those other guys can move into the bullpen. It's getting Drew Smiley healthy. It's getting Julian Merriweather healthy, hopefully a month from now. And I think June 8th is the day he can come off. So I think that's a bigger part of it. He did mention, and I've actually been thinking about this with Adbert specifically, and everyone wanting them to just DFA Adbert and get rid of Adbert, which is just not happening anytime soon. But he kind of used Michael Fulmer as an example from last year, and that's something that I kind of thought about in my head. And we keep talking about how Julian Merriweather got that terrible treatment because he had one bad outing to start his season last year. But Fulmer, I think literally a year ago at this point, right around now was when he lost the closer job for good, when they motored him to the low leverage innings and stuff. And I'm sure we can look back in chats and stuff like that, and look back in the Discord where people wanted Michael Fulmer DFA'd at that point. And then had the Cubs been, just quick to pull the trigger, we don't see Michael Fulmer become the guy that for 3 to 4 months is a very reliable, high leverage reliever, not necessarily ninth inning, but just throughout the game. I think back to the Morel walk-off against the White Sox, where it's had Fulmer not come in and struck up the side with bases loaded and nobody out, that probably doesn't happen. So I think there is a point to be made there where you have a guy who's had a track record of success, had a bad first month, and you can't deny it, but to give up on him and just say he's done is probably not the best way to go about things, because there is, again, a track record of him having success. So with Adbert, it obviously, from what Jed is saying, that they're not giving up on Adbert. Him and Craig have both talked about they need Adbert to be good in that bullpen, and it's not going to be high leverage right now if they have the choice, but trying to figure out how to get him right and getting back to pitching like they know he can is going to be an important step in getting the bullpen, performing again.
Any other key nuggets we should hit before from comments, whether it was Counsell or Jed before the game? Anything else we need to know before we get to who you got?
So I do think you guys played the video earlier in the show, the one that I tweeted out of Jed.
Credit to us.
Christopher, no, credit to me for posting it.
Maybe bump the volume up a little bit next time.
Sorry, Joey. Talking about Christopher Morel, and I think the thing that Jed obviously said in that video that he stands out to him is the walk to strikeout rate, and how just that how much the walks versus the strikeouts is like just completely improved from where he's been in the past and what we've seen from him in the past. And that's what we keep talking about, right? Is just Morel continuing to, even when he was going through those slumps, continuing to work the counts, being willing to take the walks, figure out ways to get on base, not striking out, not chasing. And now that he's, 4 of his last 5 games he's homered, and now 5 of his last 8. Now he's waking back up again with the bat as far as the power numbers. But I mean, he took a walk again today. Like you're seeing that all that stuff continue. That when he went through the first really good stretch at the beginning of the season to the slump to now another solid stretch from him, the plate discipline, plate approach stuff is just staying consistent. I think that's a pretty huge sign for him because. Jed Hoyer didn't say necessarily that the sky's the limit for Morel. There is no ceiling for Morel. He didn't necessarily say that, but you get that vibe that if he can continue to do that stuff and perform with the bat the way he's been performing over the last week, or, not necessarily that, but like close to it or more consistently like that, that the offensive potential is massive. And then obviously defensively, I think someone tweeted out he had those 3 errors or whatever in like the first 6 games, something like that, and he hasn't had an error since. So that's pretty big improvement from him too.
Yeah, I mean, we said before he came on, I was talking about him. I said there were 2 big question marks. Can he stop swinging at sliders and junk out of the zone, and can he play third base? And it's only a month into the season, but he has shown solid improvement in both areas over the long stretch, right? Like over that stretch, he's shown it. Has it been linear and, only one way? No, but there has definitely been clear improvement in both.
I would say credit to me and Luke for saying that he has to continue to play third base when everyone wanted him to not play third base anymore.
And humble of us to point out.
Whoa.
Very humble of us.
Where's my credit in that?
I saw your Slack messages. I'm not. You don't get any credit.
That
in
I
that.
said this was going to be the roller coaster that you went on. That's what I said.
No. You said that he might not be able to do
Ryan
it.
gets credit too.
I ain't giving it.
I remember when Cody got pissy at me for something in the Slack chat.
Yeah.
Non-linear.
Yes. And
That's
it had
right,
everything
James.
to do with Christopher Morel. So yes.
Barb wants Kimbrel back.
Narrative. Ryan pushing his narratives.
Yeah, I'm pushing my narrative apparently, according to Cody.
Little
Don't
counts.
let the facts
Here we go.
get in the
Little
way
counts.
of a good
Little
story.
counts at it again.
You want another narrative? Nelson Velasquez, 628 OPS. Right now. Push that narrative.
Okay. Who you got? Finally, who do you got? Because tomorrow we've got Imanaga, and hopefully he shoves again, and all of a sudden he's in the running for Rookie of the Year, and he's in the running for Cy Young, and pretty soon, what is it? It's in the National League ERA leaders. You've got Imanaga and Assad, 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, as far as qualified pitchers, Imanaga
in
is
the
not,
National League.
He's not qualified, but if I assume if he pitches a quality start tomorrow, he'd be back into the list of qualified pitchers. But going into today, Javier Assad had the 4th lowest ERA of qualified pitchers.
In the majors.
In the majors, yeah. But if you go like 30 minimum 30 innings, Imanaga was number 1. So, yeah, it's weird how that Ryan understands what I'm saying.
It's dumb metrics.
It's
We all
not dumb
understand.
metrics. It's
We all
dumb
understand.
baseball rules. Like, it should just be
right.
It doesn't matter how many innings. But, they got to be all technical. So
That's right. They got to be all goofy.
Anyway.
Who you got picks? I had Morel. Cody had Gomes,
I did.
which kept it close. Both guys failed to deliver late in the game in the biggest situation when they had the opportunity. My guy had more RBI and a walk, so I would assume that I won.
Brennan had Dansby,
with
who
Morel.
had two walks.
2 walks.
And he did hit 100 and some miles per hour.
It's
I thought Nico was in store for a big day with that leadoff double, but then he did make some good plays at second, though. He did make some good plays at second.
And Nico obviously had the opportunity late in the game too. They had a lot of guys. A lot of guys had opportunities in this one.
I think since Morel hit a homer worth more runs.
Right.
And Gomes did strike out in the 8th inning with 1 out. So It's much worse than Morel swinging at the first pitch with 2 outs.
That's pushing me to like.
Big of me to give it to you.
My lead now on who you got is extensive. It's become extensive.
I think my vote's for Stuckmeyer. You have no lead. You have no lead in who you got. I have the lead.
We've had the conversation. We've had the conversation here at the office.
Yeah,
about what happened last week.
I heard there's been some sort of discrepancy. Have you filed your discrepancy report for review?
My discrepancy report was when I found out that you just made up numbers just to get me to do it myself. Oh.
The commissioner, and at minimum 1,000 words, and describing each one and each opportunity where you think the league has gone wrong.
Oh,
and it will be reviewed.
Well, you know what? You can go back and count them up your way and do that yourself. I have mine. I have my records that I'm keeping.
Did you keep the records for the weekend? Because we didn't add it up.
Have those been printed and verified? Have they been taken to a notary at a bank?
I still say that Brennan won yesterday. I don't care what you say, and that's final.
Crazy that we're screwing Christopher Morel for having a really, really awesome eye at the plate. Crazy.
But Dansby literally saved multiple
Has yours
runs.
been signed and notified by the notary at the bank? Because mine have been notarized at
I just
certified
wanted to give
bank.
it to the guy who earned it most. Hit a homer.
No, I heard you had old man doesn't know how to use technology syndrome and deleted everything that you had added up.
Old man might have technology syndrome, but he always knows how to pull one over the young guy's eyes.
All I gotta say is
You pulled it over, but
we pulled it over. I said, "Watch." I said, "I know Ryan. He's gonna spend hours going through this one day. One day, it's finally gonna get to him, and he's gonna spend 2 or 3 hours going through each game, combing through it."
Oh, it took me 7 innings, but I got it done. and
credit to you.
Credit to you for your dedication and obsession with who you got.
You know what? I don't care because whenever you think it was a good joke or whatever, the record was set straight that I am leading who you got. That's all that matters to me.
We'll kind of merge the records together. We'll take an average.
The record is also straight that I am the worst at who you got, and that is manifesting Cubs wins.
Oh, you had a
Credit
pretty good
to me.
stretch. You did have a pretty good stretch recently, though.
There was like 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, you had a pretty good run.
Yeah, because I took PCA for like 3 straight days when he was terrible in Iowa, and he came up to the majors and shocked everyone.
DFW Susie says notaries can be bought off, though, so that's something you might want to look into for your discrep report.
And I took Gomes tonight because he's hitting below the Mendoza line. What's he do? Hits a homer. Let's go, brother.
All right, Joey's been here a long time. He did Bulls earlier today, so we're going to let him go. Ryan's got to be back at the ballpark tomorrow. All right, Ryan, thanks, and look for his stuff at allchgo.com. Your newsletter come out, too?
It did come out today.
Had a newsletter come out today.
Diehards.
Justin Steele's for the diehards before Justin Steele start, kind of looking at the rotation decisions ahead of the Cubs for the rest of the month. Obviously, Justin's a rotation decision comes from Justin Steele returning, but Kyle Hendricks, Jordan Wicks later this month should also present a set of decisions to be made.
Sounds good. All right, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. By the way, 6-3 Cubs lose to the Padres.
Final
tomorrow.
thoughts?
Yeah, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Is Shota Shoves Tuesday.
Show today tomorrow?
Yeah.
Show today tomorrow. Tomorrow, if they lose, I'll probably be more mad. Tonight, very meh for me. All right?
Got to win tomorrow. Cease.
I'm trying to ride the roller coaster in the most safe way possible. Okay? So win tomorrow, please, for my mental health and so Godfather can be happy as well. I know Godfather's probably more stressed out than I am. I just want Godfather to go to bed smiling.
And Barb.
Right? And Barb. Even Barb. Barb thinks I'm mean. I'm not mean. I'm just, we mention her so much that means that we like her. All right.
Back with a full hour
Also,
of
shout out
postgame
Kerry
or more
Wood,
tomorrow.
26 years.
26 years.
True.
Since the 20K game.
That's right.
We didn't mention it at all on pregame or tonight until this very moment, but
That's right. I feel only like on 5-year increments should we go back to that now.
Yeah, sure.
Because they won the World Series. It was a great accomplishment, though. All right, thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast. Back here tomorrow after the game. Until then, thanks for watching and listening, and fly the W.